and a warm welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Hishain Ali and let's have a look at the headlines first. Civilians in all districts except Colombo and Gampaha are permitted to use public transportation from tomorrow. Sri Lanka delisted by the European Commission from its list of high-risk third countries. News in detail. The curfew was lifted at 5 a.m. today and was reimposed at 8 p.m. today for 23 districts. In the meantime, the civilian life and work in the public and private organizations in Colombo and Gampaha districts continued today under strict health regulations amidst the curfew. Accordingly, as per the Railway Department, 10 trains were employed to provide transportation for the employees of the public and private sector. The officials of the Railway Department highlighted that more trains will be allocated in the coming days to meet transportation needs of the workers. Moreover, heavy traffic congestions were seen in entry points to Colombo as public and private sector employees have started to report to work. But the public raised concerns over the lack of proper inter-district bus service in the country to facilitate the workers reporting to work. Meanwhile, Ministry of Transport Management Services announced that the approval has been granted to transport passengers in Sri Lanka Transport Board and private buses and in trains from tomorrow onwards in all districts except in Colombo and Gampaha. But a limited number of passengers will be carried according to the restricted seating arrangement, and all passengers are advised to wear a face mask. Subsequently, Sri Lankan Airlines announced that a limited number of passenger flights to selected destinations such as London, Tokyo, Melbourne and Hong Kong will begin from tomorrow. In the meantime, a Sri Lankan Airlines charter flight carrying 320 stranded Sri Lankans from Chennai landed at the Bandaranaike International Airport today afternoon. They were then directed to a mandatory quarantine period at quarantine facilities conducted by the Tri-Forces. On the other hand, a batch of 50 individuals quarantined at the Poonani Quarantine Centre left for their homes yesterday after the completion of the quarantine process. They were stranded students who were reiterated to Sri Lanka from Mumbai on 28th of April.
I need to extend my thanks to all the officers in the Poonani quarantine camp for encouraging us and for advising us and for keeping us safe through these difficult times. They gave us all the resources that we wanted, so I need to extend my sincere thanks to them especially. Also, I need to remind the fellow countrymen to always stay protected and follow the regulations given by the government and the transport committees to ensure that we would defeat this coronavirus as soon as possible.
The European Commission has delisted Sri Lanka from its list of high-risk third countries with anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism strategic deficiencies published last Thursday. Central Bank made this announcement today in a statement issued to the media. The European Commission last week put forward a comprehensive approach to further strengthen the EU's fight against money laundering and terrorist financing. The Commission also published an ambitious and multifaceted action plan which set out concrete measures that the Commission to take over the next 12 months to better enforce, supervise and coordinate the EU's rules on combating money laundering and terrorist financing. The Commission has also published a more transparent, refined methodology to identify high-risk third countries that have strategic deficiencies in their anti-money laundering and countering terrorist finance regimes that pose significant threats to the EU's financial system. Accordingly, they had also adopted a new list of third countries with strategic deficiencies in their anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing frameworks. In October 2017, Sri Lanka was identified by the EU as the grey list country, and in February 2018, Sri Lanka was listed a high-risk third country. However, the latest report published last week delisted Sri Lanka from its list of high-risk third countries with anti-money laundering and countering financing of terrorism strategic deficiencies. Central Bank hopes that the delisting by Financial Action Task Force and EU will negate the adverse consequences that prevailed during the previous 2 years and further strengthen the positive economic outlook and financial integrity of the country. Sri Lanka stocks closed 3.29% lower today, taking the market down by 30%, but stocks recovered from an opening low which triggered a circuit breaker for the second day after a 7-week closure. However, at the end of the day, market turnover was shown as 3.64 billion, with 54 stocks making gains. Colombo All-Share Price Index closed 144.48 points, down at 4,247.95, and the S&P SL20 index of more liquid stocks closed 3.97 or 69.93 points down at 1,690.60 after recovering from over 5% in the first 10 minutes, which triggered a circuit break. Market turnover was 3.64 billion, with 54 stocks making gains while 108 stocks fell. The day's turnover was boosted by an internal transaction of 3.018 billion rupees in watermelon plantations. The market, which fell in early trade, recovered on high trade volumes and gradual pickup after circuit breaker. Sampat Bank and Commercial Bank of Ceylon recorded the highest number of trades for the day, with 900 and 819 trades respectively, also largely contributive to market turnover. Retail activity during the day was high with 8,000 trades, which is above average. Ceylon Tobacco Company declined to 100 rupees and 20 cents or 10.2% to close at 899 rupees and 80 cents per share, contributing heavily to the ASPI's loss. Index heavy John Keel's holdings fell 13 rupees or 12.14%, closing at 94 rupees and 10 cents a share. Stay tuned for more news right after this commercial break. Welcome back after the break. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa instructs officials to focus on rapid development of several main cities in the country to accelerate the development activities which were interrupted due to the pandemic. He made these observations at a discussion centered on infrastructure and urban development held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday with the participation of Ministry Secretaries, officials of the entities affiliated to the Urban Development Authority and Road Development Authority, Board of Investments and the Ports Authority. Accordingly, President said that with the resumption of civilian life, it is necessary to accelerate the development activities which were interrupted due to the pandemic. He emphasized the need to initiate new development activities by attracting investments instead of seeking foreign loans. The President pointed to the necessity of upgrading of east and west terminals of the Colombo port immediately. The possibility of constructing housing schemes with all amenities and renting them out to migrants was also explored. Moreover, President instructed the officials to resume all the large-scale building construction and development work in the city of Colombo, which have been discontinued due to various reasons, in consultation with relevant parties. It was also proposed to use unutilized lands on either side of the roads for eco-friendly cultivation activities. World Health Organization stresses that governments should ease the lockdown measures only if the epidemic is under control and if their public health surveillance system is able to cope up with any resurgence of cases. Addressing the press briefing on coronavirus yesterday, World Health Organization Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus dwelt upon the key guidelines that a government should look into in easing the lockdown measures.
There have now been more than 4 million cases of COVID-19 across the world. Over the past week, several countries have started lifting stay-at-home orders and other restrictions in a phased way. Countries put these stringent measures in place, sometimes called lockdowns, in response to intense transmission. Over the weekend, further guidance was published that outlines the 3 key questions countries should ask prior to lifting of lockdowns. First, is the epidemic under control? Second, is the healthcare system able to cope with a resurgence of cases that may arise after relaxing certain measures? Third, is the public health surveillance system able to detect and manage the cases and their contacts and identify a resurgence of cases? These 3 questions can help determine whether lockdown can be relaxed slowly or not.
Speaking further, WHO chief highlighted key guidelines regarding the reopening of both schools and workplaces.
On children going back to school, decision makers should reflect on a number of key factors when deciding on whether and how to reopen the schools. First, a clear understanding about current COVID transmission and severity of the virus in children is needed. Second, the epidemiology of COVID-19, where the school is geographically located, needs to be considered. Third, the ability to maintain COVID-19 prevention and control measures within the school setting. When reflecting on the decision to reopen schools, the local government should assess the capacity of the schools to maintain infection prevention and control measures.
And that's all news for today. See you tomorrow with State of Business. Until then, take care. Good night.